The Raven. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. Only this, and nothing more. Distinctly I remember it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow. Vainly I had sought to borrow from my books surcease of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels named Lenore. Nameless here forevermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now, to still the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door, some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This it is, and nothing more." Presently my soul grew stronger. Hesitating then no longer, "Sir," said I, "or Madam, truly your forgiveness I implore, but the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door." Darkness there, and nothing more. Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the darkness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word, "Lenore." This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word, "Lenore." Merely this, and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning, soon again I heard a tapping somewhat louder than before. "Surely," said I, "surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see, then, what thereat is, and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind, and nothing more. Open here, I flung the shutter, when, with many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but with mien of lord or lady, perched above my chamber door, perched upon a bust of Pallas, just above my chamber door, perched and sat, and nothing more. Then this ebony bird, beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, by the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore, "Though thy crest be shorn and shaven, thou," I said, "art sure no craven, ghastly, grim, and ancient raven, wandering from the nightly shore. Tell me what thy lordly name is on the night's Plutonian shore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." Much I marvelled this ungainly fowl to hear discourse so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little relevancy bore. For we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird above his chamber door. Bird or beast above the sculptured bust above his chamber door, with such name as Nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely on the placid bust, spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing further then he uttered, not a feather then he fluttered. Still I scarcely more than muttered. Other friends have flown before. On the morrow will he leave me, as my hopes have flown before? Then the bird said, Nevermore. Startled at the stillness broken by replies so aptly spoken. Doubtless, said I, what it utters is its only stock and store, caught from some unhappy master, whom unmerciful disaster followed fast, and followed faster, until his songs one burden bore, till the dirges of his hope that melancholy burden bore of never, nevermore. But the raven, still beguiling all my sad soul into smiling, straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of bird and bust and door. Then upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy unto fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore meant in croaking, Nevermore. This I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing to the fowl, whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining, on the cushion's velvet violet lining that the lamplight gloated o'er. But whose velvet violet lining, with the lamplight gloating o'er, she shall press, nevermore. Then methought the air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer swung by seraphim, whose footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor. Wretch, I cried, thy God hath lent thee. By these angels he has sent thee respite, respite and nepenthe from thy memories of Lenore. Quaff, oh quaff this kind nepenthe, and forget this lust Lenore. Quoth the raven, Nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, whether tempter sent, or whether tempest tossed thee here ashore, desolate, yet all undaunted, on this desert land enchanted, on this home by horror haunted, tell me truly, I implore, is there balm in Gilead? Tell me, I implore. Quoth the raven, Nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, by that heaven that bends above us, by that God we both adore, tell this soul with sorrow laden, if within the distant Aidenn it shall clasp a sainted maiden whom the angels named Lenore. Clasp a rare and radiant maiden, whom the angels named Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Be that word our sign of parting, bird or fiend. I shrieked, upstarting, get thee back into the tempest and the night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of that lie thy soul hath spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken, quit the bust above my door. Take thy beak from out my heart, and take thy form from off my door. Quoth the raven, nevermore. And the raven, never flitting, still is sitting on the padded bust of Pallas, just above my chamber door. And his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamplight o'er him streaming throws his shadow on the floor. And my soul, from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor, shall be lifted nevermore.
Well, that was a lovely reading, wasn't it? Did you know you can actually teach a raven to speak words? Oh, apologies. I had no idea my window actually indicated. Oh well. Let's put on a bit of backing music, as this tale I'm about to share is all about music. I have written it myself. Well, technically, it is only one part, one of 5 that I have written. And, truth be told, the inspiration was less Poe and more Sweeney Todd. It is called Melomaniac, a modern Penny Dreadful. I am sure you saw the thumbnail. And yes, in case you were wondering, I did make sure I had an isolated space in order to read this. I cannot make the same promise next week, nor can I promise there will be streams next week. For I have no promise to myself of having a place to stay. Oh no. We can only wish and hope and all other such things. But yes, you can find it on AO3 right here. This one is still in outdated form. Last I checked, it had 8 hits rather than just 3. In any case, allow me to give you a summary. A mad woman named Madame Maestro meticulously murders her way through New York City, transforming her hapless victims into morbid musical instruments. Detective Kilroy W. Heritage, an internal affairs officer and the last honest officer in the city, possibly the world, takes it upon himself to find this strange killer with the help of a strange, macabre group of medical examiners and an old music teacher who lost his hearing. Used strange twice. Sure, it's nothing. Will the detective and company succeed in catching this elusive, arguably supernatural killer? Or will an orchestra of the damned play a funeral dirge in their honor? In case you're interested, I am posting each part a day ahead. That is each Tuesday. I would say midnight my time, but that could really be any time of a day or night. It's always midnight where I am. But yes, aside from that, if you want to read the story for yourself or just want access to it a day earlier than when I will stream it with my own voice, be sure to. I actually had this sitting around for a long while. Finished. I just delayed actually posting it. Something I regret up till now. Regrets. Would've, could've, should've. We can only learn from the past. We cannot live in it. Not that we can live in the present. But we also cannot live in the future. So where do we live? Somewhere. First, Part X, The Peculiar Prelude. Salutations, dear reader, or listener in this case. The tale you are about to read is one of death, murder, and some rather unique desecrations of corpses. There is also an uncaring and corrupt police force, although saying that is akin to saying that bread in a tale contains grain within it. This tale is not for the faint of heart, needless to say. I hope you haven't eaten too much before glancing at this. Feel free to skip to the story, if you have. That works better when you're reading or when this isn't live. Not that anyone's watching this live, but, just in case you are, apologies. As the rest is more so about my own self. Here we go. I should note that I prefer to be referred to with a doctorate, but I have yet to gain a true one in this universe. I have elsewhere, however. I will also note I am not a medical doctor, so the biology contained within this may or may not be accurate to our own. Not that it matters all too much. Please do not message me saying I got this or that wrong, or as accuracy is not the primary goal of this tale. Rather, it's to share a story that needs to be told. Of course, to say that we would have to return that to the bread analogy. In any case, I do hope you enjoy this. Notoriety would be a good benefit, but I mostly want my tales to be widespread and enjoyed by a great many. So do share this if you can. I very much love to bring people joy, and it is through depravity. I will also say you can build off this tale yourself, as I plan to put this under Creative Commons license. So as long as you credit me properly, feel free to adapt it however you like. Just don't go and publish this story as a book without me, if you mind. And as this is a tale lacking the component it talks most about, mayhaps a musical or operatic adaptation is in order, but enough of my mad woman's rambling. Let us begin our midnight feature presentation. Chapter 1, Part 1. A Deadly Chilling the Couple. New York certainly has no reputation for its safety. The Big Apple, often said to be rotten to its core, is known for many things, primarily that of piece of pies, the opportunities for success, and the many dangerous places where lives are often risked, mostly due to their fellow man. The poverty in most parts of the area had created desperation in its populace, making more people need to risk their livelihoods, their reputations, and even their freedoms. The alternative would be homelessness or even starvation. Most dangers in the city could be solved if the government bothered to care for all its citizens, which it never will. Or it could be solved if money and government were non-existent, a revolution taking place, and it speaks volumes how this may be the best option. In short, most crime can be halted by mere kindness. Not all. There is a rare type of person, one that kills for non-essential reasons. Many are misogynistic and want to assert dominance in the ways of murder, or even something far worse. These are undoubtedly the worst of the lot, but they are not the kind that are most frightening. No, my friends, the scariest ones are the ones who kill out of pure, unadulterated boredom. The one that describes gutting out one's entrails in the same way one guts a fish. The ones who make human furniture and speak as if it's the most normal thing in the world. They may or may not even view these things as morally wrong, just another hobby. One that could put you behind bars, perhaps. But no more wrong than collecting stamps. Madame Maestro, it was assumed, was one such case. For the past month, a string of murders had been taking place in the poorer parts of the city. The state of the corpses was an indication that this was something done not out of malice, aggression, or need, but rather for the purpose of entertainment. Each corpse had a slit in the throat and a signature just below the stomach, as well as just above the pelvic area. The signature, reading Madame Maestro, was carved with utmost precision in cursive. The exact position varied, mostly settling on the right or left side of the body, but it was always at the same level. You could put two victims side by side, and the space between the alias and the halves of the cadaver would be the exact same with nary a difference. Already quite an impressive feat on its own, but that was by far the least interesting part of each body. On each of their backs was a carving of a singular music note being seemingly randomly notated on a staff, either right side up or upside down, once again immaculately recreated in a way that seemed almost impossible. But the more intriguing part was when you went back to the stomach, where you would find a rib cage completely exposed within. Each rib was modified to where they were each a different, bright, vibrant color from one another. They were made to be different sizes, and once again there were carvings. Each carving was a different music note in letter form, one for each half of the rib cage, facing upwards towards the stomach. The entire body appeared to be embalmed as well. How Madame Maestro was able to do any of this in general, never mind find the time to do so and still live a relatively normal life, was beyond the deduction skills of just about anyone. And then, within the cage were two neatly and carefully set radius bones from each arm of the victim, the top of which was ordained with blue-colored styrofoam in the shape of a spear. No normal citizen was brave or depraved enough to use it for its obvious intended purpose, but most will say they were tempted. The only regular resident to try was arrested for tampering with evidence anyways, so maybe it was for the best. The news media, of course, was sent into a frenzy. It was good for them to be able to report on something that wasn't a woefully depressing indication of the direction the world was headed, or a fluff piece that somehow tried to paint a child having to resort to labor to pay for the right to their medication as an uplifting story. Ooh. It had been a long time since an actually interesting case of murder had been reported. Ever since the influx of cookie-cutter mass shooters inspired by chat boards started to become an epidemic. I should remove that line. It dates it far too easily. I forgot I put that in there. And this was proving to be the most interesting serial killers in history, with the only thing coming close being the killings on Fleet Street in the 19th century. All in the city of New York, and many in every corner of the globe, looked on with horror and morbid curiosity. Even Mayor Ernest Fishburne, the most talkative politician in the country according to many for and against him, said he was simply left speechless by the killings. And his long, fear-filled pauses in his speech on the subject was proof enough on that front. Everyone had an opinion, or fascination, or a sense of mourning. or an outrage. It would have encompassed all of New York were it not for the NYPD. Excuse me for a moment, I just need to remove a singular sentence. Give me a singular moment. I'm going to remove a line that I didn't realize was still there. There we go. All better. Post. There we are. It's still going to be clear in this version because it is not updated. But I assure you, the actual reading is good and fixed. But yes, it would have encompassed all New York, were it not for the New York the police department. The police could not possibly carry less. All the crimes that happened to the blacks, the Hispanics, the queers, the prostitutes, the poor, the homeless, all the most vulnerable, people who the police were designed to push and oppress further than they already were. Come to us, said they, when the victim has more than a few 10,000 in the bank. They never said this to the public, of course, or even amongst each other, but they each whispered it under their breath each moment they were on the clock. Whether any of them knew of it or not is irrelevant. Only two groups within the department seemed to care about the case. The first was made up entirely of one man, Kilroy W. Heritage. He was a member of the Internal Affairs Unit, and the only one who actually cared about his job of taking down corruption within the force. The problem was he never had to look far to find such terrible behavior. In fact, it was so in abundance that poor Kilroy was the odd man out. Even the others in his department were crooks. After all, while Internal Affairs watched the rest of the department, no one could watch them in turn. And if they did ordain to add someone to watch them, who would watch those people? At some point, the wicked are left to their own devices. Still, he tried his best to sort through the mountain of domestic abuse reports from within the force. None would be solved, even if the truth to most of them was as clear as the vodka he drank to get through his shift. But he was at least grateful people still bothered to fill out the forms. Sometimes he worried that they were only filled out to pity him specifically, especially after his 5th shot. Should have been a private eye, he would mutter to himself near the end of his shift, nearly drunk but not quite. Once the actress of Madame Maestro became... Ugh. Look at me, I don't even know my own tale. Once the actions of Madame Maestro made headlines, however, Kilroy took it upon himself to investigate the crimes and see if he could piece together the clues. To do this, he managed to convince the only other group that seemed to take interest, which was the 7-person group that seemed to frighten everyone who worked in law enforcement, including Mr. Heritage, the medical examiners. New York's medical examiners at the time were an oddly intimidating bunch, not due to their corrupt nature or high standards. In fact, they seemed to sacrifice the entire concept of morality in favor of morbid curiosity. They grinned as they cut open bodies and giggled as they wrote and handed out autopsy reports. They were a passionate bunch that did their job exceptionally well, and they were welcome on the force so long as they had a separate break room from all others. The interest the group had in the states of the dead was almost supernatural, according to some. Many officers wore a crucifix on their uniform just in case. How could that many nutcases all end up in the same department? At the very least, they were able to function as normal human beings when off the clock. Until Madame Maestro started a twisted symphony, at least. It would seem that It would seem that my thing has become frozen. Hold on a moment. I am still streaming, it would appear. At the very least, nothing is indicating that I haven't stopped. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, and it would appear I'm not streaming on Twitch. That's unfortunate. Alright. Everybody can hear me? Good. But I notice you cannot see me as of yet. Unfortunate. Alright. It doesn't seem to have captured my screen yet. Apologies, everyone. Oh, no. That will not do. Please do not look up. I thought this stream was going to turn out a lot smoother than it was. After all I'm doing is reading a piece of fiction. Just run it. God damn it. Well, I suppose I can still read in the meantime while my model loads again. Wait, hold on. Hold on. I'm not sure which one's which now. Alright. Apparently both programs are open at the same time. Apologies. Apologies to all. Alright. No, not interact. Filter. No, not filters either. Okay. There we go. Actually, No, this is color key. Apologies, everyone. This is happening again. 9 hits. Alright, 9. Color correction, that's why. Hold on. Apologies, everyone. Just trying. It's brightness. Saturate. No, I want it to be seen completely. Monochromatic will do, I suppose. Yep. Alright. This is not going how I planned. Dr. Ludenburg is just trying to read something. Of course things go horribly, horribly wrong. Apologies. I still hope you can at least hear me. Actually, hold on. I need to check. Again, apologies, everyone. Alright, hold on, everyone. Just checking into my stream real quick. At the very least, we have some like classical music and my own voice. Ah, it's still streaming through this end. There we go. Alright. Apologies, everyone. I'll be right back. I think that's the trouble. I think that ends my troubles here. I hope that ends my troubles here. Apologies. Alright. Gotta be kidding me. I just wanted to read you all a story. I wonder why tonight the computer's like,